Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday and welcome to game day. I decided to join a little bit earlier because I'm that jacked, I'm that amped to get going. As we say good morning and happy Saturday to everybody in Habs Nation this morning as we get set for another massive game day and a massive weekend for the Montreal Canadiens who surprise, surprise. The Montreal Canadiens wake up this morning still very much in a playoff spot today with their 81 points through 75 games. The New York Rangers coming off back-to-back wins. They're on a little bit of a heater. And as my boy here, Joel Gagnon, points out this morning, good morning, beautiful fans. Massive game coming up in a few hours. Why? Because as Joel correctly points out, the New York Rangers are in action against their rivals from New Jersey at 12:30 this afternoon. The Devils at home are big favorites. Also on the docket today, the Ottawa Senators play this afternoon at 2 o'clock. They will host the Florida Panthers. The Boston Bruins and Carolina Hurricanes get things going. The Bruins looking to snap a 10-game losing streak. Also at 7 o'clock tonight with the Montreal Canadiens hosting Philadelphia, where the Habs are big-time favorites against a Flyers team that has definitely turned a little bit of a corner in the aftermath of the John Tortorella embarrassment from a week ago. The Flyers get the big win over the Canadiens. They haven't lost since. Philly comes to town, winners of 3 in a row. More on that game later. 7 o'clock tonight, Columbus is at Toronto. Massive game as it has implications on the Eastern Conference playoff race and also on the Montreal Canadiens radar. The Calgary Flames, late game tonight, home to Vegas. But no, the wild card race is where it's at today through 75 games. Montreal on 81 points, winners of 3 in a row. As I mentioned already, the Rangers are heating up. They've won back-to-back. Columbus is coming off a loss. They have 3 wins in their last 10 games and are on 77 points. So big, massive game for the BJs as they try to close the gap, and we'll see if Montreal can have a little modicum of revenge when they take on the Philadelphia Flyers tonight at 7. Listen to it live on TSN 690. We got a lot to get to today, so let's get going nice and early on this morning roll call. I'm going to tell you why the Montreal Canadiens can make NHL history this season. Good morning, Naz. Good to see you here. Good morning, Norm. Hello, Sean. Guess this is going down to the wire. You're damn straight. You're damn right. It's going down to the wire. And listen, color me surprised. As you know, I took some heat, rightfully so. Looking at the Montreal Canadiens a week ago, considering, the lack of results over the 4-game road trip that finally ended, thanks to the Florida Panthers. Who would have thought, the straw that has stirred the drink, that has allowed the Canadiens to stay in the fight, to stay in the mix, is on the backs of the Florida Panthers, where the Montreal Canadiens ran the table going 4-0 against that team. So it's coming down to the wire, taking us to a very busy weekend. Philadelphia tonight, at Nashville tomorrow night, both games live on TSN 690. So when we look at what's going on as far as the chat this morning, good morning, Alfred. Good morning, Alfred from Chicago. Go Habs, go. JGH is in the house, proud member of the Shaun Starr Show, where you can also be a part of the community. You get early access to all my videos 24 hours before they're released for $2.99 a month, and you can cancel anytime. My man Peter Puck is here. Good morning, Pete. Good to see you. Big game day today. A lot of scoreboard watching. We're going to be watching that Rangers-Devils game this afternoon. As we say good morning to Paul, proud member of the Shaun Starr Show. Also, let me take the opportunity here. Let me take you into the opportunity that it is coming up on Masters Week. And as you can tell here, I'm a little bit of a golfer. And I've touched base with, right now, I think he's the best player in the province of Quebec, Johan Benson, who covers the PGA Tour for RDS, the French equivalent to TSN, which is the Canadian equivalent to ESPN, as I know I have some American viewers watching this morning. So I'm going to have Johan Benson on the channel. We are going to record an interview together Monday afternoon, sometime between 2 and 3 o'clock. I'll put that video together and upload it this week. So for those of you that are itching for a little bit more golf coverage on this channel from yours truly, maybe you're a giant major fan and the time you tune into golf on the men's side anyway is Masters Week, well, hopefully I'll be able to scratch that itch for you with Johan Benson on the channel this week. As we say, good morning to Michael. David, great to be in it this late in the season, no doubt. From sunny Vancouver, good morning. Thank you so much. Fox Sakes, one of my favorites right here. Proud member of the Shaun Starr Show. Good morning, Sylph. Good to see you. Aaron back in the chat. Go Habs, go. Fuck's sakes is a definite believer. We say good morning to another member of the Shaun Starr community as we're up to almost 30 members of the channel. Priority replies and early access. My man, Rick Springhetti. Good morning, all. Big game tonight. Would love to see Kapanen dress for Armia tonight. Armia can't use his hands due to injury. Maybe Kapanen can spark some offense for Evans and Heineman. So let's tackle that. Let's tackle that right off the hop here. Because I want to talk about Oliver Kapanen because it's layered good news this week. Not only have the Montreal Canadiens been playing some pretty darn good hockey here, taking care of business and handing it to the Boston Bruins. And as a matter of fact, if I can pat myself on the back, if you listen to me on the radio before Thursday's game, I thought the Montreal Canadiens were going to handle Boston. The Bruins came to Montreal, losers of 9 in a row. I wanted Montreal to have an easy night, and they did. As a matter of fact, I said it on the radio on Thursday morning. I expect the Canadiens to win, and I expected them to win 4-1. And what happened? Montreal went out and beat Boston in a 4-1 final. But to Rick's point here, when Rick talks about Oliver Kapanen, so Oliver Kapanen is back here. And Oliver Kapanen, if you'll recall, was one of these players, one of the prospects that made the Canadiens team out of training camp in the fall of 2024. And Kapanen got in some games and then was ultimately loaned back to Timrå, his team in the Sweden Hockey League, where not only did he have as a young man in a defensive kind of minded league, he was more or less a point of game player. He was the number one center. He was one of the youngest players on the team. Very difficult to do those parameters at that age in that league, right? Especially considering it's a wider ice. It's hard to get engaged a little bit more often, right? Defense, I think, comes a little bit easier in that league than it does in the National Hockey League, right? So Oliver Kapanen had a fantastic season doing what he did at the pro level over in Europe, and now he's back with Montreal. But where I don't think the way I see it, right? Because I wrote this down. It's Philadelphia tonight, Nashville tomorrow. Now the next week begins, right? Hosting Detroit, at Ottawa, hosting Toronto. So that's the next 5 games for the Montreal Canadiens as we move forward here. Where I see Oliver Kapanen getting back into the lineup, because what Rick writes about when he talks Yoel Armia, I can tell you this. Yes, Yoel Armia, like Josh Anderson, is banged up. More specifically, Yoel Armia's wrist is effed up. It's not great. It's not 100%, but the man's a warrior. This team obviously is super tight, super together. And Yoel Armia, he knows he's an important spoke in the wheel that turns the Montreal Canadiens game in and game out. What works against Oliver Kapanen and why I don't think Kapanen is going to play for Yoel Armia as early as today is he's had 2 skates. He got here, he had a skate. He took part. The Canadiens did not practice. What's today? Saturday. The Canadiens did not practice on Friday. There was an optional of which he was there. Kapanen did take part in the optional, but he hasn't practiced. So the Canadiens play tonight. They go to Nashville to play the Predators tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So obviously Montreal isn't going to practice today. They're not going to practice on Sunday. Then they come back home on Monday. They're not going to practice on Monday either, I don't think. Having played Saturday and Sunday, I don't see a world in which the Montreal Canadiens practice on Wednesday. Tuesday, they play Detroit. So Wednesday seems like the opportunity for Oliver Kapanen and Martin St. Louis to get in there and kind of figure stuff out. What works, I believe, for Oliver Kapanen in terms of expediting his return to the Montreal Canadiens lineup is I think MSL is a big Oliver Kapanen guy. But I think it's paramount that this guy gets some line rushes in, does something more than an optional skate to the point where he can at least get into practice. As I said already, he hasn't practiced yet. So as the points are valid with injured players. Michael Pezzetta playing less than 6 minutes a night. It's not as easy as I think taking someone out and putting someone in. At least I don't think so right now. So for me, that's one good layer of good news. The other layer of good news, and I'm going to tell you why the Montreal Canadiens are on the cusp of making history. The Canadiens can do something this year that no team in the history of hockey has ever done before. More on that in a second. But right now, on the back of Oliver Kapanen doing his thing, Jacob Fowler also made news, and full credit to Jimmy Murphy. He was the first to really, I think, scoop the Montreal Canadiens world confirmed yesterday that Jacob Fowler had taking shots, looking good in Canadian colors. So there's Jacob Fowler doing his thing, signing an amateur tryout with the Laval Rocket, who are out in the west coast of the United States. So when the Laval Rocket get back, in comes Jacob Fowler, who should get some time with the Montreal Canadiens American Hockey League
and my family.
affiliate.
Merci beaucoup and go Habs go.
So there's
Bonjour Habs fans, Jacob Fowler here. Just signed my first NHL contract. Couldn't be more excited to be here. Looking forward to what's ahead. Full circle moment for me and my family. Merci beaucoup and go Habs go.
So pretty cool stuff, Jacob Fowler. And I honestly, let me inject my opinion here before you guys jump in on what has been an unbelievable week. Full all cards on the table, right? Not only are the Montreal Canadiens very much in a playoff spot today, much to my surprise. As you guys know, for those of you who've been watching for a minute, I love the way this team battles. I love this way this team really hasn't waved the white flag at any point of their season as they go into the game with Philadelphia tonight, winners of 3 in a row. They've scored 11 combined goals over their last 3 games, all wins, and have surrendered just 5 and have won 2 of 3 in regulation. So not only are the Montreal Canadiens, sweeping the defending Stanley Cup champs, and Nick Suzuki is owning Sasha Barkov, but what really impressed me was the fact that a team like Boston that limped into Montreal, losers of 9 in a row, that the Montreal Canadiens were, for argument's sake, able to step on their throats and remove all signs of life from the Boston Bruins, which is always, always a good thing. I don't know if I dislike a team in hockey more than I dislike, pure fanboy take, I get it, more than I dislike the Boston Bruins. But what I really love about the Jacob Fowler signing is I think it's the best for both worlds, because this Montreal Canadiens roster, this Montreal Canadiens team, it's a special team. They're very much here for each other. I mean, hell, look what happened after Montreal took it.
Hey boys, wasn't perfect, but I thought we had. Hey boys, wasn't perfect, but I thought we had a good team game, and this guy really got us going. I thought 11 had a great game.
That's Gallagher!
Alberta beef. Let's keep this fucking thing rolling, says Brendan Gallagher. And this team knows that they're on the cusp of doing something very, very special. And I think that's what I mean when I talk about how it's great that Jacob Fowler can go to Laval, can incorporate himself there. I think Connor Hughes is probably going to lose a couple of games because of the Jacob Fowler arrival, but it just allows for a very patient approach, because what Montreal is doing, no other team in hockey has ever done before. So what you're seeing now, if you're watching this on YouTube, is in the history of hockey, the average age of NHL teams and whether or not they have ever made the playoffs at that age. So as you can see at the top of your screen, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, you see the 1999-2000 New York Islanders, the youngest team at 24.4 years of age. Did they make the playoffs? No. And you can go down the list of all of these teams until you land on the 2012-2013 version of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who had an average age of their roster at the time of 26 years young. Now, the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2006 also had a very, very young team. The Pittsburgh Penguins, their roster in 2006-2007 was also a flat 26 years of age. Now, the Montreal Canadiens, and this is what I tell you about history, is the fact that the Montreal Canadiens' average age of their roster is 25.95. And so we can look at this and say, yes, this Montreal Canadiens team, despite their lack of experience, their collective youth, can do something no team in the history of hockey has done before. And there's the graphic again. You can take a look at all the teams as young as they are, from 24.4 to 26 and a half years of age, that have either made or missed the playoffs. And you've got these teams, the 2012 Leafs and the 2006 Pittsburgh Penguins, that made the playoffs at that young of age, and the Montreal Canadiens can do something that no team has done before. And I think the players in the room know that. And I think the fan base has seen through the lens of the rebuild, the resurgence of the Montreal Canadiens. And I do not think it's a copycat formula. I don't think the Boston Bruins, who just got curb stomped by the Canadiens on a Thursday night in a 4-1 loss, can go back into their hotel rooms and say, okay, I love what Montreal did. This is what the Canadiens did. We can take what they did and incorporate it into our own rebuild. That's not what's happening here. That's not what we're talking about. And listen, I'm as surprised as anybody else here. I'm as surprised as anybody else that the Montreal Canadiens were able to do what they've done. And they have been consistently in a wild card spot for a minute, despite the very ugly minus 22 goal differential. But I think it's pretty much locked in. I don't see the Ottawa Senators going anywhere. They've got 86 points. Montreal is on 81. The Rangers on 79. They play the Devils at 12:30 this afternoon. Then you've got Columbus, and then you've got Detroit. The Red Wings had a big win. The Islanders finally got off the schneid. They had a big win on Friday. They beat Minnesota. So are the Red Wings and the Islanders done? Are the Blue Jackets done? Probably. I think you're looking at realistically one of these two teams. It's going to be Montreal or it's going to be the New York Rangers. Now, the Canadiens, right, are going to play their game in hand on New York on Sunday. When New York plays again this afternoon, Montreal will play today, and then they go to Nashville to play the Predators tomorrow night. So that's what we're looking at. And you're right to point out, you're right to point out how this team is going to take it down to the wire. And the fact that this has been a phenomenal week for the Montreal Canadiens and their fans, who are starved for hockey. They are starved for hockey. And how great was it for this team to finally beat the frickin' Boston Bruins? Were you aware of this? Were you guys truly aware of the Bruins' dominance over the Montreal Canadiens? Because the Canadiens hadn't beaten Boston in regulation since 2019. Like November of 2019, the Bruins rolled when the Bruins rolled to town on Thursday. They were 15-0-1 against Montreal until Montreal finally put the boots to the Bruins and beat them there. But this team, and this, we talk about this on the regular, right? About like getting reps in, learning how to play with pressure, learning how to deal with losses, applying what you've learned, and not letting it interrupt your flow over the course of a season. And I think that's exactly what this team has done, right? That's exactly what they've done. They were 4-9-2. Then they went 20-10-2. Then they went 1-7-1 into the Four Nations break. And then they're 11-4-4 since the break. Like that, to me, when I break down the Montreal Canadiens season, right, in like almost quarterly chunks, to me, it tells a pattern. It shows growth. It shows growth in a singular season, that this team can go 1-7-1 into the Four Nations. The captain can have a conversation with his manager and say, please don't trade my guys. Oh, you don't want me to trade your guys? Can you go win some games? Can you go force my hand by doing something nobody thought you can do? And then they're 11-4-4 since that now infamous conversation. And if I'm a manager, if I'm a boss man, and I put it at the feet of my workers and my employees, and listen, you want a bonus? You want your quarterly bonus? You want to have an investment? You want to make tough decisions? You want to force my hand? Well, then go out there and do something about it. I love challenges. And I think athletes at this level, not that I've ever been one or can even think about relating to how Nick Suzuki processes pressure and how he deals with adversity, I have to believe that when these athletes that thrive under circumstance, that thrive under pressure, are told that they can't do this, or I don't believe in you, or I don't believe in the collective, I think a lot of these guys, either they shrink and run, or they say, yeah, let me show you what I could do. And it's interesting to me to read quotes and opinions from players around the league, whether it's Brad Marchand or whether it's someone like Seth Jones, that saw the Canadiens early in the season and then saw them later in the season because they all talk about tremendous growth, how it's 180 degrees removed from the team they saw in early October versus the one they're seeing right now. And that's it. It's all about growth, is it not? All about growth. So let's get to some of your comments this morning. When we look at what this team has done, 3 wins in a row, 11 goals for, 5 goals against. And Sam Montembeault has started 4 straight games for the Montreal Canadiens. So lots to get to today. And as I mentioned already, Johan Benson, who covers the PGA Tour for RDS, he's the best golfer in Quebec. He will join me, and we will tape a Masters preview for the channel. We're going to tape Monday afternoon, anywhere between 2 and 3 p.m. He will join me from the media center from the grounds at Augusta National. He will be on site when we tape Monday afternoon. I'll put it together and upload it for my members on Monday. So members get to see it first, and then it'll be released for the public, I think either Tuesday afternoon, certainly Tuesday afternoon. I want to get as much views as possible so people can take in the Masters and get ready for the Masters. Good morning, Paul. Good to see everybody. Michael, as I mentioned, good morning. Nice to be in the race this early in the season, no doubt. Good. I'm glad people are excited for some golf talk. I know it's not for everybody. But I just want to make sure that, and we're going to be doing, golf talk and more stuff this summer, and more Habs content this summer too. So I'm not going away. The channel isn't going away when the Montreal Canadiens season ends, whenever it ends. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for the support as always. We have a very strong community here, and I'm very proud of that fact. Peter, good morning. I'm going to need your knowledge. Maybe you can give us some bets for the Masters. I'll be happy to accommodate all requests. Make sure if you ever want, and don't forget, you see the email scrolling at the bottom of your screen, or if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, you can always reach out to me via email, the Shaun Starr Show at gmail.com. My first name is spelled S-H-A-U-N. Family name is S-T-A-R-R. Good morning, Peter. No, I did not fire Arbor Jackeye. Good morning, gentlemen, in quotes. Good to see you, Morgan. Always a pleasure to see you. Rick, golf season goal for this season, break 125. I think I could do it with a lot of practice. Listen, if you're posting scores and you're not breaking 125, you know what that tells me, Rick? It tells me you're a very honest golfer. And to that I say, good for you. Good for you. You know how many people I have seen that I've played golf with whose egos won't let them put a 7 or an 8 on the scorecard? If you're shooting 130 or higher, you are an honest golfer, and that's the only way you get better. You're going to put a 5 down on your scorecard when you really got an 8 or a 9. Who are you cheating? Yourself. That's who. Good morning, Joel. Ivan Demidov with a beauty, but it was a goal refused. Ivan Demidov is having himself a little bit of a playoff, is he not, in the KHL postseason? Yogi, if Kapanen comes in, does Heineman go down to the 4th line? Kapanen plays on the 2nd line. I'm not so sure I see it that way. Just based off of patterns, based off what we've seen. Hockey is very much a earn it kind of sport, in my opinion, especially with younger players. There isn't a lot, and I don't think Oliver Kapanen will buck the trend of he's got to be a top 6 guy when he gets back into the lineup, right? I don't see that. And on the positive side, I really liked Emil Heineman's game. Excuse me. I really liked Emil Heineman's game on Thursday. Took a hard lick, fell hard. I looked like he fell hard on his tailbone into the corner boards, but he ripped a couple of good shots. I personally, to answer your question, I guess I would not move Heineman down. I think Kapanen, to me, would start in a bottom 6 role and then move his way up if Martin St. Louis and the collective see that, oh man, we're wasting this guy's energy and his talent on some of the lower lines, right? But I can totally see a world in which Michael Pezzetta, right? Michael Pezzetta is playing 6 minutes a game. Oliver Kapanen, I mean, that's going to be the guy. Yoel Armia and Josh Anderson, Warriors as they are, have been playing hurt, and I don't think they're going to come out of the lineup due to injury. Good morning, Surf. Good to see you. Joel Gagnon reminds us 31 points in 32 games for Kapanen, which is a very, very impressive number. The 31 and 32 is a very impressive number in that league with that big ice. The fact that he's a point-a-game player pretty much, and played the number one center role for Timra when they lost to Frölunda. I mean, this is what you're talking about. This is, when we talk about the heart of the rebuild, and I don't want to be as dramatic as to say that, like, oh, he's the heart of the rebuild. No, he's a part of the rebuild. He's a part of what can make this team very potent and very dangerous, because dare I say it, when I tell you, and when I bring this to the table, right, and we talk about the youngest team in the NHL, that the Canadiens could do something no team in hockey has done at this age. No team as young as the Canadiens are, on average, has ever made the playoffs before. That's bizarre. So the Canadiens have no team has ever done anything like that. And so dare I say that with Ivan Demidov arrival this fall, Jacob Fowler incorporating himself as a professional with the Laval Rocket, and I love the 3-year deal. Goalies are very, very difficult to analyze. Goalies are very, very difficult to project forward and what this guy may or may not be. But I think 3 years gives everybody a lot of runway to make things happen, right? I love the 3-year deal for Jacob Fowler and the organization. It just says patience to me. It allows everybody to more or less breathe. And I think that's kind of what happened here. Okay. And so it's just a good bit of business as far as I'm concerned. So nice to see the Canadiens, if there was any concern. And honest to God, I really wasn't sweating. The fact that that some of the rumors and speculation out there was that he was maybe going to return back to Boston College. It's all good, man. It's all good, And so Canadiens got their business done with Kapanen and with Jacob Fowler. Morgan, too bad Nick Suzuki is in a dip, quote unquote dip right now. Morgan, having some fun with our last video we did on Friday between Marco D'Amico and I, where I left it in. I could have edited it out. I listened back to all my videos when I put them up and I produced them all, and I left it in there. Now, I did say that. I did say Nick Suzuki had a little dip of a production. I guess I could have been better at specifying what I meant over the course of the Canadiens' 4-game road trip, right, where he had 1 assist in Philadelphia and had no points and was a -2 in the loss at Carolina, right? But then totally got back on and did his thing against Barkov and the Florida Panthers and has been an absolute beast. And it was really more of a compliment about Nick Suzuki, that when Nick Suzuki has a dip for a game, the Montreal Canadiens didn't look their best in the final stages of that 4-game road trip that really got things back on track thanks to the Florida Panthers, which to me is it's fascinating that Montreal looks so good consistently against a team like Florida. And I get it. No Matthew Tkachuk, je comprends. No Aaron Ekblad, I get it. It's not the full complement of Florida Panther players, but they beat the backup goalie. They beat the starting goalie. They put Barkov in their back pocket. Like, I don't know. It was very, 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 very impressive. Very impressive to me. And for those that maybe are new to the channel and seeing some of the stuff, just a quick reminder, as of right now, what I like to do on this channel, right? I like to do more long form conversations. I like having conversations with people I like to talk hockey with. And sometimes I get Sean Campbell on the channel. We talk about the Laval Rocket. More often than not, I really like the work Marco D'Amico does. So I've decided to more or less partner with D'Amico, where, we can come on and we can talk Habs storylines, and we can get into Lane Hudson contract talk. We can get into Michael Hage going back to Michigan, projecting forward. I like to have longer form topical conversations around the Montreal Canadiens. And if you're not used to the format, what I generally do is Saturdays and Sundays, I come and I broadcast live at 9:30 in the morning generally. And I like to go for about an hour, incorporating my own opinions, my own observations. I like to bring in the commentary quite a bit. I like to engage with people that are watching me. And we're over 210 people watching us live now. And I like to, bring comments up on the page all the time, like this one from OK Being Last about Oliver Kapanen. I really like the flow. I like to build this community. And so what I choose to do is on So today I'm going to do this. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to take a break for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then Marco D'Amico is going to join me, and we're going to talk for about an hour. And what I do is, instead of putting up the entire hour-long conversation on YouTube, I like to cut it up into 5 segments, more or less. And I like to post conversations Monday through Friday, and then broadcast live Saturdays through Sunday. So occasionally, when Marco and I spoke on Saturday of last week, they hadn't played on Sunday afternoon, obviously, right? Nick Suzuki had a massive game, then came back and played on Tuesday. So sometimes I get it. Sometimes it can sound dated, but I try not to make it reactionary kind of video. So just so everybody, we're all on the same page all of the time here. I'm a big fan of transparency. I'm a big fan of being open and honest, like I was earlier this season when an online casino approached me and offered me so much money, to do work with them. And I wasn't the most comfortable with it. I decided to put it to my community, and we were all on the same page. I was on the page that you guys ultimately joined me on. And here we are not having a partnership. So I like to be as transparent as I can, as often as I can. And that's generally how I've done this show since I launched it in November. And it's really not going to change. I like to do long form conversations about topics projecting forward. Good morning, Big Smell. Hope that's a pleasant smell. Thank you, Peter Brady from Alpha Roofing. Marco, the light bulb D'Amico. Marco is a proud member of the Bald Brotherhood, and will join us for more conversation this week. And again, Masters preview coming up with Johan Benson on the channel this week. Mr. Niles, Newhook and Kapanen have wheels. They can stretch defenses and forecheck. Good point. Patrick Linde can find openings and gaps in coverage, exactly what the Montreal Canadiens need. Go Habs, go. I think that's a pretty thorough breakdown. Thank you. Thank you for that, Naz. Good to see you on the channel this morning. Yes, there is a Montreal connection. I believe his grandfather married a local or something along those lines. Peter, Shaun, YouTube is going to give you a strike for that F-bomb. That's the first time I've ever used the F-bomb ever on this channel, and it's all because of Brendan Gallagher. Did you happen to catch Brendan Gallagher getting the player of the game honors?
Hey boys, wasn't perfect, but I thought we had a good team game.
Excuse me.
This guy really got us going. I thought
get this on the screen here. Brendan Gallagher, as the importance of Gallagher.
Hey boys, wasn't perfect, but I thought we had a good team game, and this guy really got us going. I thought 11 had a great game.
Alberta beef. Jesus is Lord. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, his grandma's from Quebec. Good. What's with all the ads? I don't know what you're talking about. What ads are you talking about? I don't have any ads. You want to be specific? Is it the YouTube ads? I'm not so sure. I allow YouTube to put ads in. I don't put any ads in. YouTube does that automatically, just so we're aware. If it's, are they popping up too much? What's with all the ads? So obviously, I guess they're popping up too much. I guess I can look into that if there's more people complaining about it, I guess. 50% of Kapanen is better than 100% of Pezzetta, Todd King says. Okay, I don't really disagree. Brian Chandler asked this morning, what's going on with Reinbacher? He's not on the road trip with Laval. No. As we found out from Pascal Vincent, David Reinbacher actually got hurt in another game unrelated to his current injury. So out of precaution, Reinbacher is not on the trip. And I personally, listen, I don't want, it's hard not to get nervous or worried, concerned. You take your pick. Hard not to, right? But I'm going to go silver lining on Reinbacher. And my silver lining is Kirby Doc, that They looked at the Patrick Laine. They looked at Kirby Dach. They looked at David Reinbacher. All of these guys had knee issues. Laine decides not to get operated on. He's dealing with, the rehab on a daily basis. Kirby Dach, obviously, another devastating season-ending injury. And then the Reinbacher, I don't think there's room. There's room. Pudnier's age there. There's no room for nonsense. There's no room for risk taking. The Laval Rocket are the best team in the AHL and have been the best team in the AHL off and on all season long. So the risk reward ratio to me is put the guy on the sideline. You got him some games in. I think we can agree to this as it relates to David Reinbacher, because this is what Brian asked me. And I see a bunch of people just joined the live stream. So Reinbacher got hurt in a game unrelated to his injury, just something else. And so they don't want to, he didn't travel to the West Coast. He's not with the team, precautionary reasons. Pascal Vincent mentioned this the other day. So the fact that David Reinbacher was ahead of schedule, the fact that he was able to get games in, the fact that when he did play, he really stood out. Like, I spoke to Sean Campbell, and I'll get Campbell back on the channel to talk about the Laval Rocket and hoping for a deep playoff run, that when Reinbacher was playing, it was so obvious that he was the best player on the ice at his position. And so that, to me, is when I talk about Reinbacher ahead of schedule on his own timeline, and the fact that he got games in, played physical, scored a goal, had some offense, showed good fundamentals in his own end. Like, I'm good, man. Like, I'm good. I think, by and large, the fact that you got to see a sample size of David Reinbacher playing in North America at the pro level is very, very good. Very, very good for me. I'm all good. I'm all good with that. There's a fair point. There's a very fair point. Mr. Niles points out premium for the win. I have been a YouTube Premium guy I got into YouTube Premium. I decided to buy YouTube Premium because I was a massive. What are you doing? I was with this dog. He's going mental over here. I was a massive Rick Shields guy. I watched so much online golf content, whether it's Bob Does Sports or Grant Horvath or Rick Shields or anybody else. I guess like a buddy pointed out, I got tired of all the ads. So I just got YouTube Premium. So everyone's on their own budget. If YouTube Premium is something that won't bother your monthly budget, then I highly recommend YouTube. Personally, I highly recommend YouTube Premium. It's so much better. Like, I was watching last night, I was watching Hot Ones. Saquon Barkley, the running back for the Philadelphia Eagles, was a guest on Hot Ones. And the fact that I can just punch up the channel and it starts immediately and it stays uninterrupted brings so much joy to my mind. Because the other day what was I watching? Oh, I was watching what's that stupid show on Amazon Prime? I was watching a show on Amazon Prime, Reacher. I was watching Reacher on Amazon Prime, and the amount of ads that popped up while I was watching Reacher, I mean, I don't want to be dramatic and say it ruined my day, but man, it pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie, it pissed me off. Like I wanted to get rid of commercials. I wanted to get rid of commercials, and now like you're asking me to pony up more money when streaming was brought to the table so that people can watch at their convenience, at their leisure, and pay a monthly premium so that you didn't have to get bombarded with advertisements. But here we are now. It's just never, there are a lot of ways around this. Yeah, that's funny too. I do too, Morgan. I'm not going to lie about Brendan Gallagher. I always think of him as a BC boy, but Alberta is where he's at, right? The new cardiac kids. Gally is from Edmonton, as Aaron points out here. Fox Sakes on David Reinbacher, super smooth. Odds for the Montreal Canadiens to win the Stanley Cup, 200-1. Thank you for that. So we got lots of comments today. And that's the other part too. YouTube Premium is definitely the way to go. You can get the music to it, and having the screen off while listening to a podcast on a walk is also very, very, very good. So thank you for that. That's a great point today. And thank you, Steph Howard, who I can tell you Steph Howard is now back on the bandwagon. He's back on the Montreal Canadiens bandwagon. And listen, I got to be honest, man, like the fact that the Montreal Canadiens are where they are, speaks to where this team is. And there's part of me, and feel free, call me out. Call me the biggest fanboy on this channel right now. I think the Montreal Canadiens are setting themselves up to be the next dynasty of the National Hockey League. I really do. The fact that they're so young, the fact that they're so together, and I think there's some magic sauce. I think there's some magic sauce to the fact that you've got Josh Anderson, you've got Patrick Laine, you've got Mike Matheson. Okay? Everybody's whipping boy this season. Not my whipping boy, but a lot of people's whipping boy. This is a guy in Mike Matheson who had over 60 points a year ago. Over 60 a year ago. And has now been more or less replaced by a 20-year-old named Lane Hutson. Okay? So Lane Hutson, who quarterbacks the power play now, is turning into a superstar before our very eyes. Okay? And you'll be pleased to know that I donated $250 to the Montreal Canadiens Children's Foundation because with the $250 donation came with it a hand-signed Lane Hutson autograph. And I wanted it. I wanted the Lane Hutson autograph. And I think the $250 donation came with a Patrick Laine and a Nick Suzuki signed something or other. I don't know. But I wanted the Lane Hutson. So I thought to myself, I said, shit, if I got all these people, Habs Nation, supporting me on the radio, supporting me on YouTube, I certainly can support the Montreal Canadiens Children's Foundation. So on Thursday, I made a $250 donation. And what really pushed me was I wanted the Lane Hutson hand-signed autograph. So that's coming in 3 weeks, right? And Lane Hutson's turning into a superstar before our very eyes. And it's amazing that this team finally has a player like Lane Hutson. Like, I'm 46 years old. I have never covered a Montreal Canadiens team with a player like that ever. I am very, very excited about where this guy's going, right? And so when I tell you that this potentially is going to be the youngest team on average in the history of hockey to ever make the playoffs, where does your brain take you from there? Where do you go? Because understand this. You've got Mike Matheson, who's going to get 30-some-odd points from 62 he had a year ago. Patrick Laine, who's, again, doesn't shy away, didn't like the ice time. Martin St. Louis didn't pander to Patrick Laine. You want more ice time? I need you to buy in. I need you to be less Harlem Globetrotter, less risky with your puck, and you're going to get more ice time. But what's happened, right? So not only do you have young players that have bought into what MSL and the captain and the veterans are doing, but you have the veterans that have bought in to what MSL is trying to do. And Martin St. Louis said something absolutely brilliant the other day. Pure brilliance from MSL. He had mentioned the fact that this was supposed to be a transition year. And what does transition mean when the team in hockey is rebuilding? And Martin St. Louis expanded on it by talking about the fact that he had mentioned that when you're rebuilding, it's a big sacrifice for the veterans to forego winning, padding stats for personal gain in order to buy into what the team wants to do eventually. And then when the younger players show promise and start to deliver on the promise, it's time to give it back to the veterans by winning games and collectively pulling and working at the same time. So it was unbelievable that you get a Mike Matheson, 62 points, to take a different role with the organization. Because what did he say? What did Mike Matheson say to reporters when he was asked about, hey, listen, you don't run the power play, you're not going to get over 60 points. Mike Matheson's answer was, I just want to make the playoffs. Boom, done, dusted. That right then and there should tell you what this team is all about. They are definitely pulling in the same direction at the same time for the same common goal, and that's not incentives, performance bonuses. It's about the bonus of getting to the NHL playoffs and defying all the odds, right? So when the magic in a successful rebuild is when you can get the veteran players that have been there, done that, When you can get those guys to buy in and play defense, team defense, you're off to the races. And that's exactly what you're seeing from this Montreal Canadiens team that is 11-4-4 since the Four Nations break. And considering they were 1-7-1 going into the break and were more or less challenged by their manager, you don't want me to trade? Go win games. They're 11-4-4 and very much locked into a playoff spot today on a game day, on a game weekend. Montreal hosts Philadelphia at Nashville tomorrow night. And so this is what I tell you when I give you my air quote hot take for Saturday morning. The Montreal Canadiens, in my opinion, are setting themselves up to be the next dynasty of the National Hockey League. I believe in what I see. I am shocked that this team has been as competitive as they've been in a roller coaster season. I choose to read a lot into the teeter-totter year and how right now they not only do they survive the valleys, but man, they climb out of valleys very well and get to the peak and can stay at the peak. And I'm absolutely very, very impressed by the mental strength that this team has shown. Very, very impressed at the mental strength that this team has shown and the collective growth, and they're only getting better. I mean, I'll put this up again. I'll put this up again, and y'all can see again, like the veterans. It's very important to see that the veterans are a part of this, right?
Hey boys, wasn't perfect, but I thought we had a good team game, and this guy really got us going. I thought 11 had a great game.
Cole Caulfield, I love Cole Caulfield. He was awesome. He's the guy screaming Alberta beef. And did you notice? There? I'll put it up on the screen. See who this guy is here? See, here's Cole Caulfield. There's Cole Caulfield. See this guy right here? Right next to Cole Caulfield? That's Kirby Dach. And this Canadiens team is very good at that. Very, very good at that. You're on the shelf for a prolonged period of time. You are not forgotten. You are still a brother. And Kirby Dach right there, smiling ear to ear, celebrating with his brothers in a room after a big win against a rival team like the Boston Bruins. Massive, massive, massive stuff. 248 people live on the stream today. Thank you so much. Big numbers. Please smash that like button. My boy Peter Puck, he inspires me, always inspires me. And don't forget, now that I got Peter Puck on the brain, we will be doing a Shaun Starr NHL playoff pool. Everybody's involved. It'll be free. I'll give away some prizes like some merch, some Shaun Starr Show merch that you can get at theshaunstarshow.com. But knowing that the Montreal Canadiens, who are led by Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield, Juraj Slafkovsky is really turning into a well-rounded player. I love his passing game. Slafkovsky's hand-eye coordination is elite. The fact that, again, at the sake of repeating myself, how good the veterans have been. Christian Dvorak. I mean, did Christian Dvorak need to not be traded to get the level of confidence that was missing ever since Marc Bergevin acquired this guy? This is the best version of Christian Dvorak I think you have ever seen with the Montreal Canadiens. And again, like read into that. Read into Mike Matheson taking personal sacrifices for the greater good. Christian Dvorak not getting traded. Yoel Armia fighting through injury. Josh Anderson has found his home as a rugged, fast, nasty, tough, confrontational player. I mean, when you watch this team, they are team tough. Look at that game against Thursday against the Bruins, going into the crease, Slafkovsky shooting the shit with Pasternak, getting into Swayman's kitchen, the Bruins doing it to Sam Montembeault, and then the guy, everyone coming in and throwing fists and protecting the crease, like team toughness. Veterans making sacrifices, young players stepping up, and more young players coming, more young players starting to come. Like we could talk about what Jacob Fowler will mean, right? Looks great in Habs colors. There's Fowler after signing his 3-year entry-level contract. Will report to Laval Rocket when Laval gets back from their road trip, right? Like this is what we talk about moving forward. Ivan Demidov, scoring goals, putting points up in playoff environments in the Continental Hockey League. This is what allows me to come on youtube.com and to tell you with confidence that I do believe the Montreal Canadiens are going to be the next dynasty of the National Hockey League, and getting ready to see players like Jacob Fowler who actually care, right? Jacob Fowler has been taking French lessons. This guy wants to be here. This guy wants to be a Montreal Canadien.
Bonjour, Habs fans. Jacob Fowler here. Just signed my first NHL contract. Couldn't be more excited to be here. Looking forward to what's ahead. Full circle moment for me and my family. Merci beaucoup, and go Habs go.
Go Habs go. You're damn right, brother. So Fowler signed. Kapanen here. Ivan Demidov the next. And then we can talk about, and we will on this channel in the offseason, the summer of Ken Hughes, the first legitimate summer for Ken Hughes. So let's get to some of your comments here. Been on the air for 51 minutes. I will end this in about 9 minutes. Okay, being last. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the compliment. Jesus is Lord. Habs will never be able to sign big stars like Toronto. You know, if you had said that to me, Jesus, you know, every year up until this year, I would have said, yeah, okay, well, you're not telling me something I don't know. I think the environment is changing. I think the environment is changing. I think who coaches this team, how this team is run. I think the four nations. I think the fact that the Bell Center is making national news. I think the fact that the national media, whether it's on podcast form or on terrestrial television, the fact that they're talking about Lane Hudson, they're talking about this team, they're talking about Nick Suzuki on 80 points, Cole Caulfield on 35 goals. What are we doing here? I think legitimately, things are starting to change a little bit. I do. I mean that. I'm not being hopeful. Peter Puck says Ivan Demidov is going to fit right into that room like a missing puzzle piece from your lips. And listen, these are fun. These are fun problems to have. Have you not already asked yourself or your friends, where's Demidov going to play on a power play? Who comes off for Demidov to slide in? What line does he play on? Who comes off that line to make room for Ivan Demidov? These are fun problems to have, and I'm not going to answer those questions right now. Rick Springhetti with a tip. Pick the contrary to Rick's picks. Don't forget, we'll have our NHL playoff pool, thanks to my boy Peter Puck. Playoff pool on this channel with some fun prizes to win. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking about maybe the grand prize, and this would only be appealing to golfers, I suppose, but I think the grand prize would have to be a round of golf and lunch with me at my club, at the Kanawaki Golf Club, where we can get together, maybe spend the day together, have some golf, and treat you to lunch. Maybe that will be the grand prize, with some other prizes like hats and mugs, stuff like that. You should give away a Red Light Rasico jersey to the winner. I think I still have a few Patrick Waugh jerseys. Jesus is Lord. Leafs are making it to the final this year. That would be fun. That would get a lot of people talking, man. No, they won't, Jesus. A la Carey Price. Remember Carey Price's Call to Run back in the day? I don't know, Jesus. You may have to go ask them. I always, it always makes me smile, It always makes me smile. And I get this on the radio all the time, people that they text in. I'm not saying what Jesus not being an asshole or anything like that, but, the Leafs are going to make the playoffs. Too many ads on the channel. How does TSN feel about me competing? I'm competing with the radio station. Sure. If you see it that way, Jesus, no problem. But it's funny to me, it's funny to me that, people who complain or don't like what they're watching or don't like what they're hearing still stay and still engage. Like, bro, Go listen. What are you watching me for? Go listen to Salikas. Salikas is on the radio right now. I don't understand. But to each their own. I'm happy you're one of the 255, Jesus, if you're still here watching. Our lefties welcome. Everybody's welcome here. Everybody's welcome here, you know? Like as I've gotten older, I think I have more conservative tendencies as I've gotten older, but I'm not ashamed to admit that, yes, I have voted liberal arguably my entire life. I'm not the biggest Trudeau guy, but everybody's welcome here. I hate division. I hate division with a passion. How does TSN feel about me being on YouTube? Go ask them, brother. That would be an amazing prize, fun conversation, good golfing, good food, good company. So good. I'm glad that could be definitely something we could do. Yes, of course. Most, and it's funny too. Lefties, Aaron was referring more to golf than he was to politics. But in this day and age, right? Quebec has so many left-handed players. It's sometimes I'm the only righty in a foursome when I'm playing golf. Good morning, John. Good to see you. My Stanley Cup pick is the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's my pick to win the Stanley Cup. I love the Lightning. Colorado is going to be hard to beat, but Colorado might get Dallas in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. But if you ask me today, as you just did, I lean on the Tampa Bay Lightning to win the Stanley Cup. Michael says, no matter what, this has been so much fun this year. I'm in for golf and lunch. Yeah, I think we all are. You just need to win the playoff pool, brother, and then we'll get that done. Fox sakes, Mike's flying from Calgary. Listen, I don't know. I do know. I'm not going to be able to pay for your flight from Calgary. But if you come from Calgary, that would be awesome. And maybe we can get in more than one round. And it sounds like maybe we can get something done here. Good morning, Russ. Good morning, Russ. Maybe we can get something going. Maybe next year, considering that there seems to be a pretty consistent appetite for some golf stuff that we can do together as a community. I think next summer I'm going to be able to put together like kind of a Shaun Starr show. If the show is still called that, because I'm thinking of doing something else moving forward. But so maybe we can put together our little community online here. Maybe we can get together and do a golf tournament, which I've done before. I've done a pretty big golf tournament before, and I think we can put something together next summer, because I think there is, like I said, I think there's a pretty good element here of consistency, which is what I look for. Adam says, how good Dvorak is playing. Do we need to re-sign him? I don't think so, Adam. I don't think so. I think you can realistically, and this is the tough part, right? This is going to be a little bit, I believe, of an obstacle that the Canadiens are going to have to overcome. They have really good veterans, as I mentioned earlier in this episode today. They have really good veterans that have bought into what the team is doing for the overall growth. And, you need good veterans to learn good habits from. But the fact that Christian Dvorak, is not part of the long-term plans of the Montreal Canadiens. I can see a world that exists next year that has Suzuki, number 2C, maybe it's Matt Duchene, maybe it's Matthew Barzal, maybe it's, I don't know, a trade. So the 2C is a big hole that you're going to have to fill. Is Oliver Kapanen going to be a winger, or is he going to play down the middle? You have Jake Evans as your fourth line center, and I believe your third center next year, in my opinion, is going to be Alex Newhook. So the 2C is the number one job, in my opinion, that Ken Hughes has to address, and has to address in a massive way this summer. And will it be the season of the restricted free agent, or will it be the year where the Montreal Canadiens put 2 first-round picks on the table, put a prospect on the table, and go big game hunting in a big summer blockbuster featuring Sidney Crosby and the Montreal Canadiens coming together? Now that, my friends, would be a dream. That's the number one priority filling the 2C role, because I've got Suzuki, I've got Newhook, I got Jake Evans. Those are centers 1, 3, and 4. Who's the 2C? And so I don't think Kirby Dach is the answer down the middle. I don't think Christian Dvorak is the answer down the middle. And I think Owen Beck, it allows him to grow at a slower rate, to get incorporated back into the mix at a more patient path than we've seen previously under various general managers. So that's how I see the answer to that question, Adam. So we'll see. I agree with this. I agree with this comment. Jesus is very much a low-key hater, but that's okay, man. I have room on this channel for the lovers, for the haters, for the indifferent. It's all good. It's all good. And look, I mean, the guy's name is Jesus. I hope there's some love in his heart somewhere, even if, Mr. Niles, you are correct, and he is a low-key hater. Jesus saves, please. Baz, Shaun Starr golf tournament, we would have to invite Knuckles. Dude, what? That would be amazing. I've played golf with Knuckles a couple of different times. I saw Knuckles last summer a few times. And I know he has a very big golf tournament that supports the Liam Foundation, I believe. So he has his own thing going, but I would love to have Chris Knuckles Nyland. You know, it was funny when I was working and still work for TSN that before Mitch Melnick kind of brought Chris Nyland into radio, and Nyland would reach out to me every now and again. I was like, man, I can't believe this. It was like one of those moments in my life. I was like, Dan, I'm having a real conversation with Chris Nyland. I loved Chris Nyland when I was a kid. Who do you think will be Ivan Demidov's line mates next year? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. It's such a great problem to have. I do not know. I don't know what they're going to do. Do you? Who would you put him with? Like, who's the 2C? Do you want to break up the number one line? I have more questions than I have answers, Dan. More questions than answers. I don't know. I don't know. You're damn right. Niles, you're having a great day today, bro. Not Mr. Niles fastball in the high 90s today. This guy's comment section is on fire. Naz 26, good morning, Naz. Dvorak already making over $4 million. Doubtful he takes a pay cut. If he did take one, it's a sign with a true contending team. Well, I think the Montreal Canadiens are in the conversation of a true contending team. Alfred wants to know, how do I get a hat like yours? Well, you know what, Alfred, that question, it sounds like a plant question to me because I'm going to get called out for this. I'm going to tell you how you can get a hat like mine. It's very, very easy. You go to this website right here. See a highlight at the top? theshaunstarshow.com/collections. Now, I hope Jesus is the Lord doesn't write to me and say, how does Holt Renfrew, how does Harry Rosen feel, Shaun, about you selling products on the internet? How does Jeff Bezos feel, Shaun, that you're selling products on the internet? Jesus is Lord might be calling me out. I'm not so sure. But when we do this, I'll show you right now. Very easy. How can you sell products when Jeff Bezos sells products on the internet, Shaun? How dare you? So yeah, you can go to theshaunstarshow.com, and it's free shipping. And if you go to one of my episodes, I was very transparent. I told you exactly how much I paid for each of these products and how much I'm selling them for. I am basically not making money. I am not making, because shipping is ridiculous. I shipped a mug to a listener of mine who ordered one online, and he lives in BC, and I shipped a mug out to BC, and like, I think I lost $2 on the deal. You know, but it's all good, man. I think my mistake was I probably should have given these away, and I think I will this summer when we do some golf tournament stuff. But no, seriously, you can go to theshaunstarshow.com and you can get your hats, your mugs, 11 ounces, dishwasher, microwavable. And if you see here, I can zoom in on this. The reason the hats are a little bit pricier than what you are normally is because I don't do junk products. I don't do junk products in my own life, and I wouldn't put a junk product in your own. So I had these really done really nicely. You see the embroidery here? This is all hand done. And so that's why it's just not your run of the mill janky hat. You get free shipping in this country, and you get to support the Shaun Starr Show with 2 different colors. You have the black and white snapback, and you have the all black, if that's what you prefer. So that's how you get it done, Alfred. Thank you. That's how you get it done. You should get Carlo Koliakovo on your show. He does Habs games, works for TSN. He loves golfing. I know. I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware of all of those things. I would just, I guess, have to do that. Mike wants to know if my partner in crime, Connor McKenna, will ever come on the show. We've talked about that a few different times. Here's you answer this question for me. Connor and I do 20 hours a week together, and we talk 90% around the Montreal Canadiens. Right? I think there would be a lot of repetitiveness. I'd love to have him on, and I think he does have an appetite to come on. I'm concerned about the repetitiveness of it all. We do 4 hours Monday through Friday every day together, so that's kind of how I answer that question. But I'd be happy to have him on. He has the time, obviously, if he can or not, right? Da 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 da. All right. So good. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned this week. Lots of content coming up. It's Masters Week. I'm very excited for the first major of the men's season. And of course, we'll have full coverage on this channel. I'll have Johan Benson on this week as we get set for the Masters. And more coming up, obviously, this week with Marco D'Amico as the Montreal Canadiens have a double dip this weekend, hosting Philadelphia. They play at Nashville. And then next week begins with Detroit, Ottawa, at Ottawa, and then home to Toronto. So very, very good stuff. So thank you so much for being here. Free shipping, generous but mistake. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But again, just to let you know, I'm not trying to be a merchant baron. You know, as you can see here, I really don't have sponsors on the channel. It's not something that I've aggressively pursued. And what happened was when I launched this show in November, I was like, oh, let me try different stuff. I think I do have very much an entrepreneurial spirit, and I like trying different projects and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And I got these hats and mugs done, and I think I paid too much for them at the beginning of it all, but I really wanted a better product, not just some cheap tchotchke, you know. And ultimately, it was just a way to expand, I guess, my brand, to put it that way, and ultimately to put it in the hands of people. And if I made $1 off a hat, if I made $1 off a mug, I was good. I was good. It was more of a marketing play than it was a revenue stream play. But I will admit, I tried to do both simultaneously, David. I tried to market and revenue stream at the same time. So all in all, I'm just going to ultimately get my money back for what I put into the purchase of the mugs and the hats. And I didn't put a big order in. I think I ordered 2 dozen of each hat and 3 dozen mugs. And I paid what I paid, and I'm just going to get my money back. And then I think I'll re-strategize and see what I do from there. But it's not like the merch doesn't move at a very high rate. And it's not like I put a lot of time and energy into doing it, because I have a variety of reasons, but ultimately, you're onto something. You're onto something. Chris Element, from your lips, man, from your lips. Happy for. Oh, thank you, Russell. Thank you. Yeah, the growth has been unbelievable. The growth has been unbelievable. I'm shocked. I'm shocked, honestly. Like, the fact that I've been doing this for an hour and 10 minutes, we're well over 200 people. We got close to 300 today on a game day. The fact that, yes, occasionally people buy the merch, and the support has been so consistent, so consistent. I'm blown away and so flattered, so flattered. So thank you so much for all of that. Jesus, still with us. Thank you, Jesus. Will you be joining forces with Marinaro on the Sick podcast? I don't know. I don't know. I've worked with Tony for 20 years, on terrestrial radio. I love Tony. I always have a lot of time and space for Marinaro, and he does great work and is out there hustling and grinding nonstop. He's got good guests on his podcast too. Even though I'm not the biggest Snake Boisvert fan, I understand and appreciate the element that he brings. I think Eric Engels is a good guest, and obviously exceptionally plugged in. Tony always has good takes, or he always has takes. I'll leave it at that. I was always taught very early on, if you want to make it in the business, so to speak, if you want to try your hand at working in radio or working in the podcast space or anything else, it's, have something to say. Have something to say. Have a point of view, and so I always have that in the back of my mind, whether you agree with me or not. I mean, we all have our own opinions and our own way of moving about, but just have something to say. And Tony always has something to say. Thank you, Peter. So, Jesus, I don't know. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Maybe, if the playoffs ever, playoffs happen this spring, maybe there's something there, but Tony does his thing. It's not like anybody reaches out to me. It's not like I've been offered collabs and I haven't reached out to anybody to potentially work together. But I believe Tony does a lot of, doesn't Tony do like a lot of post-game shows, like when the Canadiens are done? That's generally when I hit the sack because I got to get up at 3:30 in the morning, man. Leor doesn't want me to. We do not need Tony. Baz says I should recommend a CD of the week from the shelf behind me. Just a thought. How many of us like the same music? Yeah, it's quite the collection, eh? Yeah, that's true too. Craig Button, Max Lapierre. I haven't seen. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Like it or not, Tony is going to tell you his view. Got to respect that at the very absolutely. So that's it. What's the CD says for it? You guys are great today. That's why I stay on. That's why I stay on for as long as I've stayed on for today. You guys make me laugh. Even you, Jesus. Low key, Jesus. Thank you for being a part of the stream today and for putting yourself out there. All right, good stuff. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget, I'll be back here tomorrow morning to recap the Canadiens and Flyers. I think the Montreal Canadiens end Philadelphia's winning streak tonight. I've got the Habs winning in front of their fans once again. So, please smash that like button today. Just the support means the world, and it just sends it out into the YouTube space. So thank you, everybody, for watching and being a part of this. And I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9:30 to set up the Habs and Predators and to look back on the Montreal Canadiens. Yep, they're going to beat Philadelphia tonight. All right. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9:30.